Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Radha Madhava, Radhe, Jaya Radha Madhava, Radha Radhe, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Shupad Paramahamsa Pri Vrajgacharya Stotra Satya Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki, Skandi Biti, Founder Acharya, Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki, Harinam Sankirtan Ki, Grantaraj Bhagavatam Ki, Janitai Gaura Primanande, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada. So you need to take leave now. Do you have an umbrella?
I have the rain cover, Maharaj.
Yeah, rain cover. Yeah, okay, that's also good. Yeah. Okay, I will. You can take this garland. I will. Yeah. Okay. Om Agyanatmirandasya Gyananjana Sarakaya Taksurandritam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Rajinatam Vikam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalitam Sri Sakandikam Sya Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kancana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Keshavani Sute Devi Pranami Haripriye Vansakalpa Puriyasya Kripa Sindhu Dvaivasya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Saiva Narotamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Nara, Narayana Rishi, the supreme being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayasa Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamasloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishiti. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed, practically from nil, and the loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, whose praise with transcendental songs becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Sridham Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam
Puranam Brahma Samhitam
Uttama Sloka Charitam
Uttama Sloke Charitam
Chakara Bhagavan Rishi
Chakaro Bhagavan Rishi
Nishreya Sayalokasya
Nisheshaya Lokasya
Dhanyam Swasyayanam Maham.
Dhamnam Shashayanam Maham.
This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Granthara, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God as Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya
Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda
Prabhu Nityananda
Sri Advaita Gadadhar
Shri Advaita Gadadhar
Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
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 Om Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha
Mukham karoti vasaram pangum langayate girim yatvipatamaham vande Sri Gurum Janataranam yatvipatamaham vande Sri Gurum Janataranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome to a morning Bhagavatam class. We are continuing from Canto number 1, chapter 8, which is entitled Prayers by Queen Kunti. And yesterday we read 6, today 7, no? Today 7, yes. Amantriya Pandu Putram Cha Saineyo Dhava Samyuktaha Dvaipayanadibhir Vitrai Pujitai Pratipujitaha Amantriya Panduputram Cha Saineyo Dhava Samyutaha Dvaipayanadibhir Vitrai Pujitai Pratipujitaha Amantriya Panduputram Cha Saineyo Dhava Samyutaha Dvaipayanadibhir Vitrai Pujitai Pratipujitaha Amantriya Panduputram Cha Saineyo Dhava Samyutaha Dvaipayanavidhiravipraye Pujita praktipujitaha
Amantraya Panduputramsha
Amantriya Panduputramsya Saineyo Dhava Samyutaha Dvaipayana Dudhiravipraye Pujitai praktipujitaha Amantriya Panduputramsya Saineyo Dhava Samyutaha Dvaipayana Dudhiravipraye Pujitai praktipujitaha Amantriya. In writing, Pandu Putram, all the sons of Pandu, Cha, also, Chainaya, Satyaki, Udava, Samyuttaha, accompanied Dvaipayana Adibihi by the rishis like Vedavyas, Viprai, by the Brahmanas, Pujitai, being worshipped, Pratipujitaha. The Lord also reciprocated equally. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Lord Sri Krishna then prepared for his departure. He invited the sons of Pandu after having been worshipped by the Brahmanas, headed by Srila Vyasadeva. The Lord also reciprocated greetings. Kindly repeat after me. Lord Sri Krishna then prepared for his departure. He invited the sons of Pandu after having been worshipped by the Brahmanas, headed by Srila Vyasadeva. The Lord also reciprocated greetings. Purport. Apparently, Lord Sri Krishna was a Kshatriya and was not worshipable by the Brahmanas. But the Brahmanas present there, headed by Srila Vyasadeva, all knew him to be the personality of Godhead, and therefore they worshipped him. The Lord reciprocated the greetings just to honor the social order that a Kshatriya is obedient to the orders of the Brahmanas. Although Lord Sri Krishna was always offered the respects due to the Supreme Lord from all responsible quarters, the Lord never deviated from the customary usages between the four orders of society. The Lord purposely observed all these social customs so that others would follow him in the future. Translation again. Lord Sri Krishna then prepared for his departure. He invited the sons of Pandu after having been worshipped by the Brahmanas, headed by Srila Vyasadeva. the Lord also reciprocated greetings. Yeah. So we have a little noise competition. Some interesting points are being made here. The Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, Prabhupada begins actually the purport by saying, apparently Krishna is a Kshatriya. Apparently. Of course, when Krishna is in Vrindavan, he plays the role of a Vaishya. Apparently. Thank you. No, actually he truly plays the role of a Vaishya.
No, only daytime. And sometimes not.
Well,
I have to see the full picture.
The daily activities of Krishna are that of a Vaishya, to be more precise.
Sure.
Of course, we know that, but the residents of Vrindavan don't know. We know that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But it's very interesting here how actually, like Brahmanas, Kshatriyas are also worshipable. They are, there's a word actually that describes that they are like God incarnated. Like Brahmanas also are direct representatives of the Lord because they are upholding, they are protecting knowledge, Vedic culture, and they are the most respected persons in the social system, which is being referred to here also. So ordinary people actually worship Kshatriyas, but Brahmanas are generally worshipped by the Kshatriyas. I mean, generally Kshatriyas, of course, will give respect to Kshatriyas, but they will not worship them because they are they're meant to be subordinate. But here actually, as Prabhupada explains, because these are not ordinary people who are who are preparing to actually the Lord is preparing to leave, and understanding this, they exchange greetings, and of course, even though they are in the role of Brahmanas, they are understanding and Krishna is playing the role of a Kshatriya. They understand his position as being the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And of course, in the purport, Prabhupada explains how Krishna, although he's the Supreme Lord, he works within the system that he himself, of course, established, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Varnashrama system, and he respects that system. The same is actually explained by our Vaishnava Acharyas, in particular Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that even though one may be fully self-realized, because the vast majority of people are not self-realized, to give, this point Prabhupada explains also, to give actually example. He will, even a self-realized person, will generally, maybe not all the time, but generally will work and act within the system, the established system of Varnashrama. Actually, in one purport in the Bhagavatam, possibly more than one, but in one particular purport, when Srila Prabhupada refers to Varnasrama, he equates the word Varnasrama to divine culture. So it's a divine, it's not ordinary culture, it's actually the topmost culture. Although it is a material culture for primarily those living entities who are still having some connection. I can reduce my having connection with the modes of material nature. So, we as Vaishnavas, especially in our line of our line being Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, which is a very extremely unique Sampradaya. We give so much of, we glorify so much, actually, bhakti, naturally, because as Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, it is extremely rare for someone to actually come to that realization or understanding. Bahunam Janmanamante Gyanavam Mam Prapaditi Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudulabha. Such a person who understands Vasudeva, Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is extremely rare. The point I want to make is that not only is the cult or the culture, the bhakti cult or the bhakti culture, so intensely rich and profound, also because again it's connected with Krishna, which means that actually anything connected with Krishna is exalted, is very special. This social arrangement, which we generally tend to kind of minimize or even neglect or consider that it's not so important, is also, as Prabhupada describes it, divine culture. So it's a divine culture which cannot immediately be understood. Which means actually, it's kind of like Prabhupada when he explains how the process by which one can become self-realized is that he must get double mercy. Interesting point, actually. How to get double mercy? The first mercy we get from Krishna, who will direct us, actually, who will direct any sincere soul to a bona fide spiritual master. So the first mercy is actually Krishna, who is being seated within the heart of all living entities, direct the wanderings and understands our heart. And at a certain point, in a certain lifetime, directs us towards someone who can actually give us knowledge. So the first mercy comes from Krishna, and that second mercy is the Guru or the spiritual master. In a similar way, the mercy that awaits all jivas, all living entities, is the mercy of understanding and taking up and putting into practice the culture of bhakti, because that's also eternal culture. And so that is one mercy. And the other mercy actually is the system that Krishna is giving, that we should not be neglecting, that we should not be minimizing. Only in, we could say theologically, in terms of philosophy, in terms of theology, bhakti, of course, is way superior and is not dependent also. Is not dependent on on karma, on jnana, is not dependent on varnashrama per se. At the same time, it doesn't mean that we reject or neglect or minimize that system that is given by Krishna. This is being displayed here actually in this pastime where Krishna, he reciprocates with various individuals according to their status. Krishna respects that system, and therefore both are very profound sciences which are meant to be studied, meant to be taken up. And that's why, that's one of many reasons that Srila Prabhupada wanted that we establish Varnashrama colleges. It's like one time one sannyasi was making the following point, that sometimes devotees are overly preoccupied at being spiritual, and they are forgetting how to be human. Means they are neglecting their the the natural, normal relationships that are meant to be there. Uh, uh, so therefore, both are very important, and actually we see throughout the pages of the Bhagavatam, especially in the first canto, there are many, many references to Varnashrama. Well, it goes right up until where does Krishna, the whole chapter, Krishna speaks on Varnashrama, 11th canto, I believe. So it's not only different personalities who are like Narada Muni, who is like the foremost personality. That's the special feature actually of Narada Muni, which is most important for us. In our Vaishnava Sampradaya, we know there are 12 Mahajans, Narada Muni being one of them. And his specialty, as explained by Srila Prabhupada, his uniqueness is that he is the expert in both of these cultures. He is expert in the Bhakti cult, and he is expert also in the Varnashrama, you could call it cult, or rather culture. So this is being demonstrated here and being pointed out also by Srila Prabhupada. Yeah. Any thoughts on this? This is over giving too much emphasis maybe to Varnashram?
Good question. Very good question. I just yesterday have a meeting with devotees. Before the meeting, one of the devotees mentioned at one occasion when there was overestimating the function of the Varnashram, and it was quite long discussion from different devotees how to appreciate the Varnashram properly.
Right.
Not underestimate, not overestimate, but we put in the right position in our life and in our society's life, within devotees and within our friends and relatives and
Yes.
and our group where are not necessarily friends and relatives are living together, but they cooperating for maintaining ourselves, maintaining each other like a nation, like a
Community.
society, community, in a village, in a part of the city. That's very important to cooperate properly.
Yes. Yes.
And we have to really praise for that, who are not just making profit, but really doing the best to put the best quality of support for each other.
Yes.
Protecting,
actually,
guiding, everything.
Yeah, in Indonesia, Prabhu Kishara can comment briefly. In Indonesia, because Indonesia, even now, of course, but I mean, 500 years ago was ruled, actually was following Vedic culture, was ruled by Vaishnava kings for many centuries, and so they still retain, especially of course in Bali, where majority are Hindu. And I don't know the exact terms, but this aspect, cultural aspect, is very strongly upheld in villages. Like in village uh, generally, like Kshatriyas will be, there's the administrative aspect, and then there is, what do they call it? Adat?
Yeah.
What is the difference? Because there are two, especially in villages, from what I understood, there are two very important persons who are like leaders, and they have their respective uh, area of responsibility. One being more like to organize, I think, the village. The other one is in terms of the culture, which is connected with the point you're making that for society to function properly, there needs to be. As a matter of fact, they have a rule in Bali, especially, that if you want to be living in our village, you have to abide by. You have to go to the pura, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can't just live there and do whatever you want,
Mm.
especially engage in all kinds of bad activities or sinful activities.
Mm.
What are those two positions called? I mean, one
There is a like a priest.
priest,
Yeah, but now a priest is not uh, actually not all came from Brahmana by by birth.
right,
Yeah, in the village,
right,
there is a classification of uh, of a priest come from Brahmana by birth,
right,
from the Kshatriya by birth,
right,
and also from Vaishya and
Shudra,
from Sudras,
right,
from being Sudras. They are also can be elevated as a priest,
okay,
but they did not recognize this as a brahmanas,
mm, okay,
even though they are uh, taking uh,
the,
responsibility as a priest,
right.
because the teaching is already not continued, but
But
those recognized as a brahmanas there now is only just by birth.
okay, but adat means one who is especially concerned about tradition, culture, isn't it?
Yeah, that is like traditional custom.
Custom, yeah,
Yeah, traditional custom.
and very very powerful, no?
Yeah, related to like spirituality especially,
Okay,
and also tradition.
tradition,
Yeah, tradition mean that old tradition.
yes, which is connected with the Pura, I suppose.
Yeah, especially
Pura means
related
like temple,
to the Pura.
Pura,
Yeah, mean to the worship of God.
yes,
First is related to the worship of God, and second related to rule and regulation in the village.
in the
That is
village.
adat.
Oh, you're right, yes.
Yeah. If one stay in that community,
Mm,
they must follow this rule and regulation.
correct, yes,
If not followed rule and regulation, then it's not eligible to stay
to stay in that
in the
village.
village or to get that housing area share.
Correct, yeah. Um, then there's the head of the village is different, right?
The head of village,
It's different from adat.
yeah, there are two now, which is heading adat
Uh,
and head the administration.
yes,
Yeah,
administration.
village
Yeah, yeah,
administration.
yeah. So it's interesting because these are two most important, actually, two most important leaders within society. We know from Vedic culture are the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas.
And who is appointing them? Like some leaders are, the two leaders are voted, or appointed by some authorities?
If the leaders for the spiritual leaders, they have a system, spiritual system. If the leaders to administration is by voted by the society.
But priest is like family heritage, I think.
A priest, yeah, a priest is family mostly from heredited.
Yeah, from
Yeah,
family lineage.
yeah.
But
From
if something is broken the family line, then they find someone else almost the same.
yeah, if
relative.
there are like already no continue this tradition or as a priest, then they will appointed a person who like inclined to that service. They still found a person like more inclined to practice uh, as a priest because they are more qualified than other in terms of chanting mantras and in terms of that willingness to do this
So
service.
there is a few persons who is choosing that one who will be acting like his other.
Yeah, yeah. Because the society, in the society, they already knowing each other and they easily can notice who have that tendency and qualification.
Yes,
Then they will choose that person.
yes. So yeah, uh, whatever we do, of course, coming back to this question of having proper balance. One of the big problems that has been present since actually many centuries in India, especially in connection with the Varnashrama system, is that um, it has become polluted. It has become different from what the original intent was, and that's why, especially in the last maybe two centuries, I mean, going back to the time of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, 19th century, um, where he actually revived the whole uh, proper understanding of Vaishnavism, and he made various references also to the system of Varnashrama, and this term Daiva Varnashrama, or sometimes Daiva or Daivi is not main difference. Conveys basically the same meaning. Means divine system. So divine system means, although it is a material system, our from what our more recent acharyas, including our founder acharya Srila Prabhupada, explain, is that within that so-called material system of Varna and Asrama, when everyone is conscious of the primary goal and objective of life, which is to engage in the service of Krishna, when everyone is practicing bhakti, devotional service, then that whole system is no longer material in that it takes on a spiritual dimension, to the point that actually Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur states that activities performed in devotional service in that consciousness don't incur or don't create karmic reaction, isn't it? Otherwise, ordinary varnasrama is different, right? So, in other words, we're trying to introduce the what is meant to be, let's say, the original varnasrama, where in the Vedic culture, uh, in the ideal Vedic culture, we have the topmost self-realized brahmanas who understand Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam, which is only possible, of course, if one is connected or introduced to the teachings of the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita. So in that system of varnashrama, all members within that, the social orders, and within all of the ashramas also, can become self-realized individuals. And that the instruction, of course, was given by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Kibabi pra kibanyasi shudra kenenoy, Jai Krishna Veta Tattva Se Guru Hoy. So anyone who is, regardless of one's social position, who has that good fortune to associate with individuals, which means Vaishnavas, who have that understanding, can become a self-realized individual. Of course, within, it's all very interesting. Yesterday, the day before, I happened to listen to, it was from the Sri Sampradaya. They were discussing, kind of rare, I'd never seen this kind of discussion. It was one Swami from the Sri Sampradaya, Ramanuja Sampradaya, who had two devotees who are also, the same Sampradaya, and they were like students. He was a Swami, they were like students, and they were asking him different questions. So he was mentioning that actually there are three main Sampradayas, or three main schools of thought: Dvaita, Advaita, and the one that they follow, Vishuddha Dvaita. And he was mentioning there are others also, and he just happened to mention Achinta Beda Beda Tattva, which is the one that the Gaudiya Vaishnava follow. The point being that even within our Vaishnava Sampradayas, the very unique feature of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, because takes us to that realization of Krishna, of Radha and Krishna. Like in the Sri Sampradaya, the realization is that Narayana, Narayana is the supreme, and that everything comes from Narayana. Everything comes from Vishnu. Krishna comes from Narayana. Whereas in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has very nicely and clearly established, and this is corroborated by so many of the writings of the six Goswamis, that actually Krishna is Ekale Ishvara Krishna Arsabritya. That's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Ekale, Eka. Krishna is that only one Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all others are actually emanations, or we could say subordinate to him. Of course, that's getting into philosophical discussions, but that's important to have actually in terms of establishing the absolute truth. And what is interesting is that although personalities like Srila Prabhupada, who is representing this, the foremost representative of this Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, emanating or coming from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, although Srila Prabhupada was conversant and well-versed and fully realized in terms of, the topmost position of bhakti, he also, very interestingly enough, gave, sufficient, ample emphasis on the importance of varnashrama. So how to marry or how to balance both is like a challenge. It's a challenge to practice bhakti, because it's to follow pure bhakti is not so easy. And it's also a challenge, as we can see, because within our society, for example, we've not put into practice the whole varnashrama system. Very far. We are very, very far from that, actually. So we have this, we could say, double challenge. Now, Prabhupada was making the point, which is very important, that in order for us to actually more easily enter into the bhakti cult or the bhakti culture, yeah, then the same thing Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains also. Those who follow the system of Varna and Ashrama have it easier. It is easier for them to actually practice bhakti. Actually, Prabhupada makes a rather strong statement that in order to come to the level of becoming a Vaishnava, pure Vaishnava, one has to take up the process of Varnashrama. Yes.
So, which is not being clear. To follow Varnasrama mean that one following guna and karma.
Yes
One.
and no. If one is not a pure devotee, then by nature he's forced. He's forced because he's connected with the modes of nature to act according to his guna and karma. He should act according to his guna and karma within the varnashrama system. Whereas if someone is fully self-realized, generally he will act within the system, although he won't be influenced by the modes of material nature. See, there are two things, as Krishna explained in the 4th chapter. Chaturvanyamaya sisam guna karma vibhagasaha. Guna and karma. So there are two things. Quality, for those who are not self-realized, the guna is connected with the modes of material nature. And the karma, means activity, will be connected with, let's say, any of the 4 varnas, for a non-devotee. For someone who's a devotee, 2 levels of devotees, let's say, the self-realized, Nitya Mukta, and Nitya Baddha. I mean, those are still conditioned. So for those who are still conditioned, the guna may still be with the modes of material nature, but because he has taken up the path of bhakti, he may not always follow the guna, but generally he will work, because that is how society is made up. He will work within, in terms of karma, in terms of activity, within the 4 varnas. And if someone is self-realized, then he's not connected with the modes of material nature, but his karma, means in his activity, will fall within any of these 4 categories. Because normally, in the conditioned state, we equate these 4 categories, like, okay, Brahmana, mode of goodness, Kshatriya, mode of passion, like that. But for someone who's self-realized, he may take on any of these positions, but it doesn't, because he's self-realized, he's not connected with the modes of material nature. So we can't, in other words, we can't judge someone by one's external activity, either as taking the role of a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra. Generally, of course, those who take up the position of Brahmana, they are meant to be more situated in goodness, isn't it? But a Vaishnava, also just like, because that's part of, we have temples, we need Brahmanas. A Vaishnava will take on the position of a Brahmana, but a Vaishnava can take on any position.
That was a debate at the time of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati.
Yeah, big debate.
So who have right to worship publicly?
Yes.
Idols, publicly worship deities.
Very interesting. I think it's been recorded also. It was Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur who was invited, actually, because I mean, difficult for us to imagine, but if we read a little bit of the history, we can, what Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and then his son, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, introduced was revolutionary. Because, I mean, even what Lord Chaitanya introduced.
Yeah, the public Harinam Sankirtan,
Yeah.
it was really complained
Right.
against.
The main,
Brahmanas was saying, you don't should chant so loudly.
yeah,
You
you're
disturb
disturbing
God."
the Lord. He's trying to sleep. Krishna's trying to take rest and you're chanting so loudly. So yeah, from the time of Lord Chaitanya's introducing the Harinam Sankirtan and the whole philosophy of Achinta Bheda Bheda Tattva, I mean, even to this day, like the Smarta Brahmanas, those who are caste Brahmanas, they cannot relate to that. And of course, even within amongst Vaishnava, we have, I mean, that was there in the two sons of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Lalit Prasad and Bimal Prasad. Bimal Prasad being Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And the outcome of this actually is that we give, we means the followers of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who took this from his father, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We give a special importance, special emphasis on the preaching dimension, preaching aspect. Although we recognize, that means that the Gosi Anandi as opposed to the Bhajan Anandi, we recognize this whole dimension which is there. And that's why Prabhupada mentions, after one has sufficiently preached, then he can do his bhajan. But although Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, actually he gave, I was reading not so long ago, one of his writings, he gave Babaji initiation, but only to very few, maybe 20 or something of his disciples. Yes.
So now the preaching, or that we want to re-establish Varnashrama system, that mean that we are introducing in term of ashrama.
Yes.
So is to preach or to teach every childbirth, every male person should practice as a brahmachari first in terms of ashram. That we want to emphasize.
Yes. I mean, brahmacharya, the ashramas are an integral part of the varnashrama system. And brahmacharya is not only for boys, right? I mean, brahmacharya principle and concept is for boys and girls. That means that, one does not intermingle between a male and female like that.
So, like in terms of brahmachari life,
yes,
like now in our society, in
yes,
ISKCON society, like in terms of preaching, is not very much encouraged to the parent, like to give a chance to the child to be
brahmachari.
To be brahmachari. It's not sufficiently given. In general, that we tell, but they just hearing and then just passing by.
Yes.
Not up to the point that the parent have that
Understanding.
sufficient understanding.
Correct. Yes.
That
yes.
up to some point they should make themselves ready. The parent
yes.
and also to prepare the child ready.
Maybe we should send everyone to Cambodia.
Everyone brahmachari.
Well, everyone is part of the culture.
At least the austerity.
they're happy. They're
Mhm.
happy to send their little boy actually in the what is it,
To pagoda,
pagoda,
But
yeah,
Maharaj,
to
how is that
monastery.
in
for some
Varnashram system, the Shudras are not sent to Brahmacharya, Ashram or Gurukul?
because yeah, well, because actually uh, brahmacharya life, brahmacharya training and gurukul is meant for the dvijas,
Who have nature?
who by nature can be uh, more austere, more disciplined, and who by nature, see, Gurukul is primarily to train leaders, natural leaders, and as we mentioned earlier, the two foremost natural leaders are the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas, because majority of people just cannot um, deeply study various subject matters, you know.
But then
But
what to do with the Shudra type of
what to do
children?
with the Shudras?
Children.
Ah, no, the children they get natural training through what is called non-formal education. See, in Vedic culture, there is again that's nicely explained in the 10th canto, 11th chapter, verse 37, where Prabhupada explains these two levels of Vedic education. Formal, one being formal, that Prabhupada mentions as academic education, which is for Brahmanas primarily, and Kshatriyas also, but primarily Brahmanas. That is non-formal education, rather that is formal education, academic education, Gurukul education. Non-formal education is actually for the rest of society, which majority of which are actually Shudras.
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah, majority are actually Shudras. Yes, and they will take up activities related to what is meant to be the primary um, activity to support the Vedic economy, which is connected with cows and land. Uh, so through that culture, they will receive their education. So it's so they are educated both in terms of the Vaishnava culture or Vedic culture, in terms of basic Siddhanta, by because there are many activities like even that existed not so long ago during Prabhupada's time. In every village, there would be evening. They have like in Orissa, in the province of Orissa, uh, this Bhagavat Tungi, every village. Here in Bengal also, now it's much less followed um, because of advancement of modern way of life, etc. But when there was no television, when there was no radio, no all kinds of people, they would ordinary people, common people, they would be educated in that way through discourses, through their association with saintly persons. So the whole culture was supported in that way. So that is how the majority of the population would be educated. And of course, Prabhupada mentions one of the most important aspects. Uh, I mean, in terms of activity, Krishna's daily activities of taking out the small cows. So, in other words, the Vedic education began from the age of 6 in terms of practical application, uh, because daily hundreds of thousands of boys would actually, because when you have 900,000 cows, you need quite a few gopalas to take care of the cows. Yeah.
So now what I can understood and what I can learn from the situation and the difficult of applying this system of Varna and Asrama.
Yes.
First, education should be started from the early
Childhood.
stage
Yes.
of the child, that and to apply this, the challenge in the
Society.
community,
The
which is already spread now,
the parents are the challenge.
the parent and also the society, because
Yes.
they already been open to globalization,
Yes. Yes.
and they get all kind of information, and they also already been like in term of education.
Yes.
Like in one country, the government already set up everyone should go study to
Yes.
this. If not go to study in the government school,
Yes.
they're not eligible to get
Facilities.
facilities or service like a ID card and all these things.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So
called
this is like,
compulsory education.
yeah, compulsory. This
Yes.
make big challenge for us,
Yes.
and also unless we are not in one community
Yes.
with the same goal,
Yes.
that is become like a big
Yes.
challenge.
So
And
yes.
what I can understood is like to plant something
Seeds.
seed when the fencing is already completely broken.
Right.
So first, unless we put fencing, that we cannot plant any seed. We can plant the seed, but once grow and other will,
Will come and take.
yeah,
Yeah.
eat up.
Yeah. So he's asking this question. You know why? Or we're having this discussion because since many years, Prabhu Kishora has been involved with, we could say, community development.
Yeah, exactly. That what I feel. That first we make together.
Yes.
We fans the family and devotee
Yes.
in one community.
Yes. Yes. So that's
Once
why
we
you
set
you
up in
have
the
that's
community.
why you have to plant yourself somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We've been discussing about this. The whole idea being that we need to create, to showcase
Yes.
examples of communities where people gradually are educated in what is being conveyed actually in the
Yeah.
pages of the
Mhm.
Bhagavatam,
Mhm.
and it's extremely challenging.
Mhm.
It's extremely difficult because, as you rightly mentioned,
Mhm.
in every country in the world,
Mhm.
the government already has its own plan,
Mhm.
its own agenda,
Mhm.
and it's quite different from ours.
Yeah.
Totally different.
Mhm.
Yeah, isn't it? So therefore, we have to be intelligent how we go about doing it. But yeah, the solution lies in devotees coming together as closely as possible in terms of what is meant to be the ideal Vedic model.
Yeah.
And the ideal Vedic model
Yeah.
is in village.
Mhm. Yeah.
And because it's in village that we can actually fully understand and fully put into practice
Yeah.
real Vedic education in these two levels.
Yes.
In terms of Gurukul, for those few, very few
Yeah.
brahmacharis who will have that inclination, ability, and then the rest actually will be involved in agriculture-related activities and so many cottage type of industry that support. Like you need blacksmith. You need all types of people who can do different manual activities, etc. Then slowly, gradually, once we have at least one of those communities, then other devotees can come there, stay some time, see, understand, appreciate, and then duplicate.
Yeah. Like we can see in our Gitanagari village,
Yes,
actually we can associate in a good relationship between this both education.
Yes.
in terms of traditional education and also government education.
Yes.
Because government education, it is compulsory to follow up to a certain level.
Yes.
So then we can select, if we have a good candidate student
Right.
which have good understanding in academic study and also in Krishna consciousness,
Yes.
they can continue study to get their degree and then can preach, and the rest of devotee can just back to the traditional education and traditional practice, because they already in the boundary of a community,
Yes.
no rule and regulation, and we can continuously to keep discussing this thing and set up
Yes. But
proper.
ultimately, our long range or long term goal is to actually train and educate our devotees so that they won't uh, have to fit in the modern system, because the modern system is not the ideal system, far from being the ideal system, isn't it? We don't want to train our children, although right now in many ways it's like very difficult to avoid, uh, because of so many different government regulations, etc., and the whole social setup. But the idea is that uh, we want to create a new type of society. Now that will not happen immediately, but and for a certain period of time, okay, yeah, there are many of our devotees who will continue to get maybe higher education in the modern system, but that is we should see this as temporary, because we want to create a different type of society, which is primarily agrarian in nature, means village, where people from all different categories and all different levels of education will be able to find their occupation and their livelihood within that community, within that village, uh, which is not immediately obvious, because the whole direction from let's say government side, again in all the pretty well the countries of the world, are going in the opposite direction. Yeah.
And what I can see again, like already more like open clear vision,
Yes.
is like to set up like a farm community first, like when we see like in Gitanagari,
Village
like
community.
yeah, village community,
Yes. Yes.
like in Sharnagati, devotees already there,
Yes.
uh, and our property is already there. I mean,
Correct.
that's already our place and our fencing are there.
Yes.
Just need to like deepen the discussion in the study.
Yeah. As soon as we bring 50 cows, we were discussing. We were discussing yesterday. Actually,
Yeah.
has a contact, somebody who actually some people who are very pious, who are ready to donate 50 cows. No, 100 cows actually. So the idea is that this is the point I was making to our devotees in Gitanagari, isn't it? That we have actually a good amount of land, like maybe 200 acres of land. I mean, it's not huge, but 200 is also, substantial. But the whole economy I was mentioning is not in keeping with Vedic culture, because Vedic economy is based on cows and land. Um, and in the Vedic culture, we don't develop what is called monocrop. I mean, we don't depend on just one crop, which is largely the situation in most places, including our GMB, for example. So the land is meant to be utilized for a variety of crops, and also for giving maximum space for the cows to graze, because that's when the land is going to become again fertile. Now the land, all over the world, the land is being ruined, is being destroyed, because we're doing monocrop, because we're using all kinds of um, chemicals, etc., like that. We're using machines, tractors, which is actually destroying. So gradually that is that change needs to come about gradually, but it will only come when our devotees are properly understanding, isn't it? When they are properly trained. So I mean, just imagine if somebody steps into most of our communities, including GNV, and compare stepping into that village as to stepping into Vrindavan village. In Vrindavan village, you see cows everywhere, and everyone is connected with activities of cow protection and agriculture. So in most of our communities, even in Sharanagati, that's not taking place.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying we've not understood. We may theoretically have some understanding, but we're not definitely not putting into practice because we have so few devotees who actually understand this. That the actual, our success in terms of both material and spiritual, and they go hand in hand, will be when we begin to revert or change the ongoing modern trend of using less and less bulls and having less and less cows or exploiting cows in so many different ways. So if we have land, the majority of that land, a major portion of that land is meant for grazing for the cows. Yes.
So now also I can like define little bit more deep.
Yes.
Doing is preaching.
What?
Doing is
Yes.
preaching.
Yes.
Preaching without doing,
Yes.
no one will follow.
Right. Yeah. Only speaking practical application.
Yeah.
Yes. That is called actually Vigyan. There's Gyan and Vigyan. So
So
Gyan
this
is
is what being asked by many, include devotee.
of course
But who doing it? Where? So I can come and join.
right. Yeah.
So,
But what we should understand is that actually there are different communities where they are doing it at different levels. Hungary is one of them, for example. Krishna Valley. They're doing also in Sharanagati at a much lower level, for example. They're doing in GNB at a different level also. So we have a number of communities where there are, even though the number of devotees is maybe small percentage, but there are devotees who have the basic understanding and who are endeavoring. So the point I'm making is that devotees in general should not wait for the perfect, perfectional stage to come. They should help in different ways to reach that perfectional stage. I mean, Prabhupada didn't go in America when all the temples were established. He went there starting from scratch, alone, without any money, without any support, without any contacts. Because he had the proper understanding, the proper knowledge, the proper conviction, and he got Krishna's full mercy to do it. So I would say it's not a fully honest argument or reason when devotees say that show me example. Well, there are a number of examples that are there, and there are devotees who are endeavoring, and there are different levels of success. In some places, like in Ukraine, they're self-sufficient in terms of milk products, ghee, in what is it? Mother farm, yeah. So, on the simple basis that this is something that our founder Acharya and our previous Acharyas, and it is there in Shastra as well, and now we have to finish. Because it is there, then we should take it up, regardless of what has been done already. There was absolutely nothing in America. Prabhupada just started, and then he sent different devotees in different countries where also there was nothing in terms. Okay, thank you very much. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.